All right, Steeler fans, it is time for the winners and losers segment right here on the Monday Let's Ride podcast after a game. This is always fun when you have a winning performance. You get a lot of winners, not a lot of losers. In this case, 13 winners and 4 losers. We're going to try to plow through these as quickly as possible. Let's get started with the winners. Where else to start? How about Captain Cam Hayward? Listen to the stat line. 5 tackles, 3 solo, 2 tackles for loss, 2 quarterback hits, and 2 sacks. I said this last week. I'll say it again. Cam Hayward somehow, some way found the fountain of youth. I need to find out where it is. So, Cam, if you're listening, hook a brother up, will you? This guy is defying every principle that you think of when you think about an aging player, even on the defensive front, in terms of how he's playing and how he is impacting games. Cam Hayward has, I don't think it's just an all-pro season. I think this could be a Steelers MVP season for Cam Hayward. That's the type of year he's having. Just phenomenal stuff. He is playing that he's proving, let me put it this way. He is proving that last year was an injury-laden season. It was more of an aberration than the new norm. So good for Cam Hayward. I'm glad to see him playing well. He's on the winners list. Let's go to the next winner, Patrick Queen. He finishes with 10 tackles, 5 solo, and 1 pass defense. It's not so much that he was second in this game in tackles. We'll get to the leading tackle getter here in a second, but it's how he is playing. At the beginning of the season, I talked about how Patrick Queen was not showing up. He wasn't flashing on TV. When you're watching the regular broadcast, you're not watching all 22 footage or any other camera view, or you're not there live. You can see certain players pop on the screen. They're dynamic. They're all over the place. Ryan Shazier used to pop like crazy because he was so fast and so athletic. At the beginning of the season, Patrick Queen was not doing that. He was falling into the giant mess in the middle of the line of scrimmage. Now we're seeing Patrick Queen start to pop. Now we're starting to seeing him jump off the screen. I like this Patrick Queen. I want to see more of this Patrick Queen. He's on the winners list. Let's go to the next winner, Mike Williams. He has 4 targets. So that's a big thing right there. 4 targets. They're throwing the ball 4 times. And he had 1 catch that should have counted that got called on a bogus offensive pass interference. But that's neither here nor there. He had 3 catches on those 4 targets, 36 yards, a 12-yard average, and a 22-yard long. Mike Williams, in George Pickens' absence, he had to step up, and he did step up. He stepped up in a way in terms of being a difference maker, and it wasn't to the tune of 136 yards, and he didn't have a touchdown, but he contributed, and he got himself out there, and he got himself some catches from Russell Wilson, and hopefully some trust was built there, and hopefully he's getting comfortable, because if Mike Williams can turn into even a decent wide receiver 2 with George Pickens being healthy opposite him, the Steelers just got a hell of a lot more difficult to defend. And so Mike Williams' play on Sunday, maybe it convinces Arthur Smith to allow him to be there a little bit more, trusting him in key moments, because he made some plays and he deserved it. He deserves to be on the winners list. All right, next winner is the guy who led the Steelers in tackles, 13 tackles, 9 were solo and 1 pass defense, Deshaun Elliott. Deshaun Elliott has continued to show that he and Patrick Queen were just fantastic additions this offseason. In case you haven't seen it yet, the guy is just a tackling machine. The way he's open field tackling, but also his kind of sixth sense of the blitz against the run to stop tackles, either for no gain or for a tackle for loss, are just phenomenal. Deshaun Elliott is doing everything that the Steelers want around the line of scrimmage and even in coverage. Has he been perfect in coverage? No, but not many people can be perfect in coverage with the rules today for defenders. But Deshaun Elliott, he deserves to be on the winners list. Fantastic addition this past offseason. Let's go to the next one, Scotty Miller. So talked about how Mike Williams stepped up in a big way. What was interesting is that Scotty Miller came to the stadium on Sunday and was not expecting to play. He was expecting to be inactive. And it was Pat Freiermuth after the game on Sunday. He was talking and they said, "How'd you find out about George Pickens?" He said, "I got a text from my dad." He said, he sent me a text, GP's down with the hamstring. And it's like, dang. So Scotty Miller got called, hey, you're up. You're in. So now all of a sudden you have a game plan in place. Scotty Miller's not a part of that game plan. He goes out and has 3 catches on 4 targets for 38 yards, 12.7 average, a 21-yard long. And by the way, that was a beautiful catch on the sideline. 3rd and 7, continued the drive. It ate up clock. They couldn't have a 3 and out in that moment. Scotty Miller came to play. Good for him. He deserves it. He's one of those guys you can just tell. He's a team player. He doesn't need the individual stats. He doesn't need the individual accolades. He's all about the team, and it's good to see those players get recognized, and that's why he's on the winners list. Next winner is Jaylen Warren. So Jaylen Warren, from a running standpoint, had 9 carries for 47 yards, a 5.2-yard average, a 14-yard long. He also added 2 catches for 25 yards, a 12.5-yard average, and on 5 targets. Now, Jaylen Warren, you do some simple math, and he had just over 70 yards total. Jaylen Warren was a dynamic player. He was a guy that all of a sudden in the second half they started to lean on. I wish they would kind of lean on him more. There are certain games and certain styles where one of the runners seems to fit against the defense better than the other. And in this case, you could definitely tell that Jaylen Warren fit against the Browns way more than Najee Harris did against the Browns. Najee Harris, he had a decent day, but Jaylen Warren, I don't know. I call him like the little water bug. My kids always laugh, and I'm like, look at that little water bug. So for me, Jaylen Warren is just, he's a spark plug. He is dynamic. Is he a dynamic playmaker like I described in the first half of the show? No, he's not. But there are certain moments where you can say, get him the ball. Get him the ball. Let him do his thing. He is tough as hell to take down. Jaylen Warren was a difference maker in the game on Sunday. The next winner is, the stat line does not show this, but I did this for a reason. It's Elandon Roberts. Elandon Roberts had only 3 tackles. He had 1 solo and 1 tackle for loss. But I said this on the postgame show, and I'll reiterate it here as well. Hey, Elandon Roberts, E-Rob, as they call you. I see you. And I want to let you know, I'm not the only person that sees you. There's a lot of Steeler fans out there that see you. They see you punishing players. When you talk about a pulling guard, pulling center, Elandon Roberts was punishing the opposition. The 4th down play, no chance. Why? Elandon Roberts read it. He attacked the hole, filled the gap, and made the open field tackle for loss. Elandon Roberts is not a guy that's going to lead the team in tackles. He has a role to play. And his role, he executes it to perfection. Elandon Roberts is dynamic. He is one of I call him a dying breed in the National Football League. He will sacrifice his body to help other people make a play. Elandon Roberts, the Punisher. That's what that should be his nickname. If they're not calling him the Punisher, they should call him the Punisher because he's just that good. I love it. Love myself some Elandon Roberts. We see you, man. Keep it up. You're a big part of this defense. Let's go to the next winner. Pat Freiermuth. 3 catches, 48 yards, 16-yard average, 1 touchdown, 21-yard long, and 3 targets. Pat Freiermuth, they're slowly starting to figure it out. The only thing that sucks about this for Pat Freiermuth, and it's not that he scored another touchdown. That's awesome. Back-to-back games that he scored. I love it. It's not that he had 3 catches. That's good. 48 yards. Anything above 40 for me with Pat Freiermuth is a win. It's the fact they only threw him the ball 3 times. 3 targets, 3 catches. Last week he had 7 targets. I'd love to see them getting him the ball more, targeting him more. In the first half especially, there were some really bonehead decisions from a play calling perspective, from a personnel perspective, where they didn't even have Pat Freiermuth. They didn't have Calvin Austin on the field. No Mike Williams. Like, what are we doing here, folks? Like, let's not try and recreate the wheel. You have good players. Pat Freiermuth is a good player. Use your good players. Pat Freiermuth did have a good game despite all those gaffes. He's on the winners list. Okay, we only have a few more. Takeaways. The stat line, they got 3, and they needed them all. 2 interceptions, 1 from Keanu Benton, 1 from James Pierre, and a fumble recovery by Ben Skoranek when Kadarius Toney muffed a punt. I got to say this, folks. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. The Pittsburgh Steelers lead the NFL in takeaways, and they are continuing that trend, and they are continuing that lead because Buffalo was the second team, and they didn't have any takeaways against the Rams in Week 14. The Steelers get 3 again. And so they get 3 again. You're figuring something out here, and that is that this is not a trend. This is a theme. This is not a fluke. This is what the Steelers do. They take the ball away. And that's awesome. It's almost to the point where you can sit there and watch a game like, they're going to get one. It's going to be coming. It's just a matter of when. And that's fun. Let's go to the next one, the red zone offense. Some might say, like, Jeff, they were 2 for 4. That's the stat line, 2 for 4. Keep in mind that the last drive where Najee Harris gets the first down, ices the win, they were in the red zone. And so they kneeled on it. And they did the victory formation, and the coaches are shaking hands and players are dabbing each other up. That actually counts as a failed red zone attempt. So that 2 for 4 is more like a 2 for 3. And that's a far cry from the 0 for 4s they were having just a few weeks ago. They spent some time in the mini bye after week 12 working on the red zone offense, and it seems to be working. They are scoring more touchdowns. It's exactly what they need. Less Chris Boswell field goals, more touchdowns. They're getting that. Keep it up. Love to see the trend. The red zone offense is trending upwards. Let's go to the next winner. We have 3 left. Third down defense. They held Cincinnati to 2. I'm sorry, not Cincinnati. Cleveland. 2 for 13. That's right. 2 for 13 on third down. Yeah, they went for it on fourth down a couple times, and they were successful on a couple of those attempts. But still, that is good defense. Third down defense, only allowing 2 conversions out of 13 attempts. That's a win. Next winner, the Cleveland mistakes. This game, especially in the first half, was close. It was really close. And 2 missed field goals, a muff punt, interceptions, a failed fourth down conversion. It wasn't just that they made the mistakes, it's that the Steelers also capitalized on those mistakes. The missed field goal turns into points for the Steelers. Not scoring at the end of the half, that adds to the Steelers. Like this was a game where Cleveland was in this game for a large portion of the first half. And then the third quarter is when, to me, things broke. If you think back to how the second half started, Cleveland gets the ball. The Pittsburgh Steelers, for some reason, I don't know, they don't kick the ball to the end zone. Cleveland gets a great return. Ford sets them up inside the Steelers' 40. They actually get another penalty. Joey Porter Jr. gets flagged for a personal foul. They are fine. They are certainly fine for a field goal in field goal range. Then all of a sudden, Steelers start to make plays. We get a sack. I think that might have been one of a Cam Hayward sacks, and they miss a field goal. Steelers go down. They score a touchdown, and what could have been 13-10, what could have been 14-13 Cleveland turns into 20-7 Pittsburgh, and the game flipped on that. That's a mistake by the Browns that the Steelers took advantage of. Good teams do that. Last winner. This is kind of petty, but I don't give a crap. Officially ending the Browns season. That's right. The Steelers win officially ends the Browns season. They still have games to play, but they are now mathematically eliminated from postseason play. So anyone out there that thought, well, maybe there's a chance, and maybe if this, that, and the other happen, and Jameis Winston on Hard Knocks can say, we still got a chance. No, you don't. No, you don't. Not anymore. You are done. You are eliminated. Please go have a seat with the other people in the corner with your dunce hats on. So there's your winners. Let's go to the losers. Only 4. My first loser is slow starts. The Steelers had 3 points in the first quarter. They were 0 for 1 in the red zone. They didn't have any third down conversions in the first quarter. Just a horrible offensive output in the first quarter. And what's crazy to me is that a lot of the stuff that we saw from the Steelers in the first quarter was part of their script. Like, they actually practice these plays. They say, this is what we're going to do to start the game. And if you think back, like the first series of the game epitomized how crappy the first quarter was. The Steelers get the ball, touchback. They start at the 30. First play of scrimmage, Browns jump off sides. All right, 1st and 5. This is easy. Lose yards, incomplete, short, 3 and out. Are you kidding me? They couldn't get 5 yards? That was how the first quarter was. It was awful. Play calling improved. Glad to see that it improved. They're a second half team, but as we were going to talk about coming up to Philly, you're going to have to start fast. You cannot start slow. The next loser is George Pickens' injury. I don't know how serious it is. Mike Tomlin kind of said, well, there's still some time. They'll see how he feels, but they didn't want to be a big issue. I get all that. But was George Pickens the most valuable offensive player on the Steelers? You got to ask that question. When he wasn't out there, it was totally different. Now, granted, I think that Russell Wilson is the most important player as the quarterback. That's what most people would say on the offensive side of the ball. But man, George Pickens, that injury, while it could deem to be beneficial down the stretch, that was a losing. That sucked. That was not good. That was not fun. Not fun at all. Let's hope he can be back to play on Sunday against Philadelphia. All right, the next loser is the costly Cordero Patterson fumble. And this is something that I wrote about in the offensive keys to victory. And I talked about this on last Wednesday's podcast. I talked about how Steelers need to eliminate those costly turnovers. You could go back to Baltimore, the interception. I guess Darnell Washington was the target. He did not come down with the catch. And Marlon Humphrey picks him off. You could go to the fumble by Russell Wilson from Myles Garrett, the forced fumble in the snow against the Browns in week 12. You could talk about the pick six to start the game in Cincinnati last week. And now the Cordero Patterson fumble, the Steelers could just ice the game away. If the worst case scenario is they kill clock, they punt the ball, the Browns are going to have to drive the length of the field. It's over. No, I mean, he fumbles it. Now, granted, I know that Jameis Winston throws an interception and that doesn't turn into points. But my gosh, can we just eliminate this? Can we eliminate these plays from the repertoire? Can we rip out that page of the Rolodex and stop having these boneheaded plays? And I know on the postgame show, Brian Davis said, well, he liked the move that he does. Move. No, you protect the football. We try to take the football over the guy's head forward. Just hold on to the ball. Got to eliminate those plays. And the last loser are the injuries. It's not ideal. I don't think it's horrible. You talk about George Pickens' hamstring injury, Larry Ogunjobi's groin. We'll see what that looks like. Dante Jackson always seems to be a guy that's hurt. So yeah, that's definitely on the losers list. But there you have it. 13 winners and only 4 losers in this game. And people could say, you could put Joey Porter Jr. on there, which, by the way, someone on our live chat in the post-game show had a fantastic, I might have to make a shirt, called, they called Joey Porter Jr. Six Flags, like the amusement park, because he had 6 flags thrown on him last week. Oh, that's so good. But nonetheless, there you have it, the winners and losers segment. I want to remind everyone that is watching or listening to this, be on the lookout for the tweet, for the swag, giving away. I'll put that out there on the Steel Curtain Network at Steel C Network, and I'll tag myself and I'll retweet it on my own personal account. Be on the lookout for that on Monday. And on Tuesday, don't forget the mailbag tweet. I'll put that out on my Twitter feed at jhartman, HARTMAN_PIT. You ask the questions, I will answer them live on the show on Wednesday, but that does it for me. It is a victory Monday. These are joyous occasions. Enjoy it. Wear your gear. 10-3, baby. Here we go. Bring on Philly. Let's do this. You know how we finish up these shows. Be safe, be kind, and God bless. Have a great rest of your week. We'll see you on Wednesday. Go Steelers.